Hey there, welcome to another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today, something that's been on my mind is how we keep growing and learning as we get older.
Right.
Like making sure our world expands instead of shrinks.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much pressure to keep up with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what about going deeper?
Totally.
Especially as we age,
Yeah.
How do we keep that curiosity and exploration alive?
Well, it's a great question, and it's something that Rick Rubin explores in his book, The Creative Act.
Okay.
Now, I know the title might sound a little artsy,
Yeah.
but trust me, this book has some really profound insights
Okay.
that apply to, all of us,
Mhm.
whether we consider ourselves creative types or not.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the connection between creativity and expanding our world as we age?
So what's fascinating is that Rubin argues we're all creators.
Wait.
No matter what we do, every choice, every action, it shapes the world around us
Right.
and contributes to our own personal growth. Think about it. Building the Golden Gate Bridge, composing the White Album,
Mm-hmm.
even crafting the perfect Philly cheesesteak,
Okay.
all acts of creation.
So even if I'm not, painting masterpieces or writing symphonies,
Right.
I'm still creating.
You are.
I like that. It feels empowering.
It is empowering.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that creative energy is within all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use it to shape our lives,
Yeah.
even as we get older. Rubin introduces this idea of a vessel within us.
Okay.
It holds our experiences, memories, and knowledge.
Right.
And he suggests that as we age, we can consciously choose to expand this vessel.
Okay. I'm picturing like a treasure chest or something.
Oh.
What kind of treasures do we need to fill it with?
Well, imagine your vessel is like a muscle.
Okay.
The more you use it, the stronger and more expansive it becomes.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of the best ways to exercise this vessel is through what Rubin calls deep looking.
Deep looking. What's that all about?
It's about actively engaging with your surroundings,
Okay.
really seeing the world,
Mm-hmm.
not just passively observing,
Yeah.
but noticing those subtle details you might have missed before.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the reset button on your perception,
Okay.
which can be especially valuable as we get older and fall into routines.
I can see how that could help combat that feeling of the world shrinking as we age.
Yes.
Instead of just going through the motions, we're actively seeking out new perspectives.
Exactly. It's about bringing that sense of childlike wonder back into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Rubin suggests simple exercises, like truly savoring your next meal,
Okay.
paying attention to each flavor, each texture,
Right.
or try spending time in nature,
Mhm.
really immersing yourself in the beauty and complexity of the natural world.
Those are great, and I think they would resonate with our listener who wants to expand their world as they age.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to see the world with fresh eyes, no matter how old we are.
Yes.
Now, Rubin also talks about tapping into the subconscious.
Yeah.
It feels a little more mysterious.
Yeah.
How does that fit into expanding our world?
So it's about accessing that deeper well of creativity that
Right.
often gets buried as we get older and more cautious.
Okay, yeah.
Rubin suggests keeping a dream journal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams can offer these amazing insights into our subconscious minds.
I've always been fascinated by dreams,
Mm-hmm.
but honestly, I can never remember them.
Oh, sure.
Any tips?
Keep a notebook and pen by your bed,
Okay.
and as soon as you wake up, jot down anything you remember.
Okay.
Even if it's just fragments or images,
Yeah.
the more you do it, the better you'll get at recalling your dreams.
Okay.
It's like building a bridge to your subconscious. And this next one might surprise you.
Okay.
Anger releasing exercises.
I'm intrigued, but also a little intimidated. Is it about just venting?
It's more nuanced than that. Think of it this way. Anger often masks deeper emotions and creative blocks.
Okay.
By physically releasing that anger, Rubin suggests beating on a pillow for 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
You create space for those blocked emotions and ideas to surface.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how kids just express themselves without holding back.
Exactly. It's about tapping back into that uninhibited creativity we may have lost touch with over the years.
Yeah.
And the key is to immediately follow the physical release with 5 pages of free writing.
Oh, wow.
Just let whatever thoughts and ideas flow out without censoring yourself.
Okay.
You might be amazed at what emerges.
Okay, I'm adding pillow therapy to my to-do list.
There you go.
So we've talked about deep looking and tapping into the subconscious, but I'm curious, what about the role of learning in expanding our world as we age?
Yeah.
Actively seeking out new information and ideas.
That's essential. And Rubin emphasizes the importance of immersing ourselves in great works. He's talking about high-quality art, literature, music, anything that elevates our thinking and inspires new possibilities.
I love reading, going to museums.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I'm gravitating towards the familiar.
Sure.
The things I already know I like.
That's natural. But Rubin challenges us to push beyond our comfort zones.
Okay.
Think about it. When you were younger, you were probably more open to exploring new genres of music, different styles of art.
Yeah.
As we get older, we can sometimes limit ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Rubin encourages us to stay curious.
Right.
To keep seeking out those works that challenge and inspire us.
Yeah.
Regardless of our age.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be a student again.
Yeah.
No matter our age.
Right.
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 To be open to new influences and perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine for a moment, you grew up landlocked, and then as an adult, you see the ocean for the first time.
Wow. Yeah.
It shifts your perspective, right?
It does.
It's about trying to recapture that sense of awe and wonder.
Right.
Even with things we think we're familiar with.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And it ties back to this idea of expanding our world as we get older.
Totally.
It's about actively seeking out those experiences that challenge our perspectives and push us to grow.
Yeah.
But I'm also aware that change can be challenging.
Sure.
Especially as we age.
Yeah.
There's a tendency to want to hold on to things as they are.
Right.
Does Rubin address that?
He does. And it leads us to a key concept in the book.
Okay.
Embracing the unfolding story. Rubin emphasizes that life isn't a fixed narrative, but a constantly evolving journey. This becomes even more apparent as we age.
So it's about accepting that things change,
Yeah.
we change.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Precisely.
Okay.
He encourages us to see change not as the threat,
Right.
but as an opportunity for growth and new beginnings. Think about revisiting a favorite song or book years later.
Yeah.
It can evoke different feelings and insights because you've changed.
That's so true. It's like choosing to see those changes not as losses,
Right.
but as opportunities for something new to emerge.
Yeah.
But how do we practically deal with those inevitable challenges and setbacks that come with change?
Rubin offers a really helpful tool.
Okay.
Connected detachment. Now, I know that sounds like a contradiction.
It does. How can you be both connected and detached?
It's about acknowledging the difficulty of a situation,
Yeah.
but also recognizing that it's not the entire story of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you're watching a movie. You can be engrossed in the plot,
Right.
but you also know it's not your reality.
So it's about maintaining perspective, like, this too shall pass.
Exactly. And it's incredibly helpful as we get older and might be facing losses, disappointments, or major life changes.
Right.
Connected detachment allows us to step back,
Okay.
observe the situation,
Right.
and recognize that life is full of twists and turns.
Yeah.
And those twists and turns can lead us to unexpected places.
That's a powerful message, especially for our listener who wants to ensure their world keeps expanding,
Yeah.
even as they age.
Right.
It's about choosing to see the possibilities that can arise from change,
Yeah.
rather than fearing it. And, all this talk about embracing change and new experiences reminds me of something else Rubin talks about, cultivating a beginner's mind.
Yes. That's another key concept for expanding our world.
Okay.
And it's something we can actively cultivate as we age.
Tell me more about this beginner's mind. What does that even mean?
Think about AlphaGo, the AI that beat a Go grandmaster with a never-before-seen move.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
It made history.
It did. And it did this because it learned the game free from traditional limitations.
Okay.
It didn't have all those preconceived notions about how the game should be played.
So is Rubin saying we need to become AI to be truly creative?
Not quite.
Okay.
But he is highlighting the power of approaching things with a beginner's mind.
Okay.
Like AlphaGo did.
Yeah.
It's about letting go of those ingrained assumptions about how things should be done.
I love that. It's like approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder,
Yes.
like we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
But honestly, as we get older and have more experience, it can be hard to shed those assumptions.
It's a practice, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing Rubin suggests is to approach each experience as if for the first time.
Okay.
Even something as simple as walking down your street, try to see it with fresh eyes,
Mm-hmm.
noticing details you may have overlooked before.
It's like choosing to see the extraordinary in the seemingly mundane,
Yes.
which I think is a key part of expanding our world as we get older.
Exactly. And it ties into another concept that Rubin explores,
Okay.
the ecstatic. This is a state of heightened awareness and inspiration
Mm-hmm.
that can arise during any creative act. And remember, we're all creators.
Right.
Rubin believes that this feeling is a guidepost,
Okay.
indicating we're on the right path.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What does the ecstatic actually feel like?
Yeah.
You, as our listener, have you ever experienced that feeling?
I'm sure you have.
Was it during a creative project or something else entirely?
Right.
Let's try to tap into what that feels like.
Rubin describes it as an electric current running through you,
Wow.
or a sudden rush of energy. It's a sense of being fully present and connected to something larger than yourself.
Yeah.
It can happen during a creative pursuit, but also when you're deeply engaged in nature, a conversation,
Right.
anything that lights you up.
It sounds incredible.
It is.
And I love how it ties back into the idea of expanding our world as we get older. It's like rediscovering that spark of passion and purpose that can sometimes fade as we get caught up in routines and responsibilities.
It's about reminding ourselves that we're all capable of experiencing this joy and wonder, no matter our age.
This is all so fascinating, and I'm already feeling inspired to shake things up and approach life with a little more of that beginner's mind we were just talking about. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's shift gears a bit and explore another key concept from the book.
Sure. You know, one thing that really struck me in the creative act is Rubin's emphasis on the importance of setting.
Okay.
He talks about how our surroundings can deeply impact our creative process, and by extension, our ability to stay open to new experiences.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I know I feel more creative in certain environments, like I can't get any writing done if my desk is cluttered.
Exactly. And Rubin goes beyond just like a tidy workspace.
Right.
He points out that different settings can actually evoke different kinds of creativity.
Okay.
Imagine like a secluded forest or a silent monastery.
Okay.
Those places can be ideal for receiving what Rubin calls direct transmissions from the universe.
Okay, that sounds pretty profound. But what if you're not the solitary type? What if you thrive on, being around people and soaking up that energy?
Rubin addresses that too.
Okay.
He suggests that, if you're looking to tap into the collective consciousness, you might find inspiration in a bustling cafe.
Right.
Or even walking down a crowded city street. It's about understanding what kind of environment best fuels your creative fire.
I love that idea. It's like giving ourselves permission to experiment with different settings and see what sparks our imagination.
Yeah.
Especially as we get older, it can be easy to get stuck in our routines.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to shake things up a bit. But I'm curious, does Rubin talk about the flip side of this?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by all the input and distractions in the world.
Right.
Especially with technology and social media constantly vying for our attention.
Yeah.
How do we balance being open to new experiences with the need to protect our time and energy?
That's such an important question, especially in today's world.
Right.
Rubin acknowledges that we're constantly bombarded with information and distractions, and he emphasizes the need to create space for stillness. It's in those quiet moments, free from external noise, that those deeper insights and inspirations can emerge.
So it's not just about what we're exposed to, but also about creating space for reflection and integration.
Exactly. Rubin suggests practical strategies.
Okay.
Like carving out dedicated time each day for creative pursuits.
Right.
Even if it's just for a few minutes. It's also about being mindful of the information we consume.
Right.
Choosing quality over quantity.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about being intentional with our time and energy.
Yeah.
Which can be challenging as we age and have more responsibilities, but it sounds essential if we want to keep expanding our world.
It is. And speaking of challenges, Rubin also talks about those undermining voices.
Okay.
Both internal and external.
Right.
That can sabotage our creative process and make it difficult to, stay open to new possibilities.
Oh, I know those voices all too well. The self-doubt, the comparisons to others, the fear of failure. It can be really hard to shut them out, especially as we get older.
Yeah.
Do you think those voices tend to get louder with age?
They can, especially if we've achieved a certain level of success or recognition. It's like we have more to lose.
Yeah.
So the stakes feel higher.
That makes sense. It's like we're holding ourselves back because we're afraid of not living up to our own expectations or the expectations of others.
Exactly. But Rubin reminds us that everyone experiences these undermining voices.
Right.
Even those who seem wildly successful.
Yeah.
It's not about silencing those voices completely.
Right.
But about learning to recognize them and choose not to give them power.
So it's about shifting our focus.
Yeah.
Instead of listening to the doubts and fears, we tune into our own creative instincts.
Precisely. Rubin encourages us to cultivate a sense of self-compassion.
Okay.
It's okay to experience self-doubt. Everyone does.
Yeah.
The key is to not let it paralyze us. It's about choosing to keep moving forward, even when those voices are whispering doubts in our ears. And sometimes I think that means having the patience to trust the process, to let things unfold organically.
Rather than forcing them.
Right.
Does Rubin talk about that?
He does. And he emphasizes that patience is crucial, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Right.
He reminds us that there are no shortcuts to creating meaningful work,
right,
to living a meaningful life. And this becomes even more crucial as we get older. You know, we may feel pressure to achieve certain things, reach certain milestones.
Right.
And that can lead to impatience and frustration.
It's like we need to give ourselves permission to slow down.
Yeah.
And to trust that things will unfold in their own time. It's like we're always rushing towards the next thing without appreciating the journey.
Exactly. Rubin uses the example of learning a new skill, like playing a musical instrument.
Okay.
You practice diligently, but then you need to step away and allow your body and mind to integrate those new learnings.
Yeah.
It's in those moments of rest and reflection that we often see the most significant progress.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. It reminds me of the importance of downtime, of giving ourselves space to process and integrate new experiences.
Yeah.
Which can be so valuable for expanding our world as we age, but it can also be a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially in our always-on culture.
It is a challenge, but it's a practice worth cultivating. Rubin encourages us to find that balance between effort and allowing. Yeah. Between pushing ourselves and also trusting the natural rhythms of life.
It's like finding that sweet spot between pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones and also honoring our own need for rest and rejuvenation.
Right.
Which, by the way, can change as we get older. What worked for us in our 20s might not work in our 50s.
Exactly. It's a continuous process of self-discovery and adaptation. And speaking of adaptation, Rubin also talks about how we're all essentially translators.
Okay.
You know, taking inspiration from the world around us and translating it into our own unique creative language.
Now, that's a fascinating idea. So it's not just about absorbing information, but about processing it, making it our own, and expressing it in a way that feels authentic to us.
Precisely. And that translation process can take many forms, from writing a song to cooking a delicious meal to having a meaningful conversation. It's about finding our own unique voice and expressing ourselves in a way that feels true and meaningful.
And that voice can evolve over time, right? As we gain new experiences and our perspectives shift.
Totally.
Our creative expression will naturally change as well.
Absolutely. Rubin encourages us to embrace that evolution, to be open to exploring different creative mediums.
Right.
And to allow our voice to change and grow over time.
I love that. It's like a reminder that creativity is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And there's always something new to discover and explore regardless of our age. But also curious, does Rubin offer any practical advice on, like, how to hone our craft, on how to become more skilled at translating those inspirations into tangible creations?
He emphasizes the importance of, practice, study, and research, those foundational elements of developing any skill. Even the most gifted artists have dedicated countless hours to honing their craft.
So it's not just about talent, it's also about putting in the work and being dedicated to our craft.
Exactly. And that dedication can take many forms.
Okay.
From attending workshops to taking classes.
Right.
from reading books to practicing regularly, to seeking out mentors and collaborators who can help us grow.
It's like investing in ourselves.
Yes.
And our creative growth.
Yeah.
Recognizing that there's always room for improvement and that we can continue to learn and evolve throughout our lives.
Absolutely.
I really love that perspective.
And it reminds us that expanding our world is a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. It's not something that stops at a certain age.
It's about staying curious, embracing change, and continuing to learn and grow. You know, as we're talking about learning and growth, I'm reminded of another interesting concept that Rubin explores in The Creative Act.
Okay.
This idea of rules.
Yes.
And how they relate to creativity.
Rubin has a fascinating perspective on rules.
Okay.
He recognizes both their value and also the importance of breaking them.
Okay. Now that sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
It's like this. Rules can be helpful guidelines.
Okay.
Especially when we're first, learning a new skill.
Yeah.
Or exploring a new creative medium.
Right.
They provide structure.
Right.
A foundation to build upon. But Rubin also emphasizes that rules are meant to be broken.
Okay.
That true creativity often comes from, pushing beyond those boundaries.
Right.
And discovering our own unique path.
So it's about finding that balance between learning the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then giving ourselves permission to experiment and break the rules.
Exactly. Rubin encourages us to be playful and curious in our approach, not to be afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
And see what happens when we step outside of our comfort zone.
Right.
And this becomes even more crucial as we get older.
Right.
And maybe more set in our ways.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be beginners again.
Yes.
To approach our work with a sense of wonder and experimentation rather than getting bogged down by rules and expectations. In a way, that ties back to our earlier conversation about expanding our world as we age.
Absolutely.
It's about staying open to new possibilities and not limiting ourselves based on what we, think we know.
And that openness extends to embracing our own unique point of view.
Okay.
Rubin emphasizes that the world doesn't need more of the same.
Right.
It needs individuals who are willing to, share their unique perspectives and challenge the status quo.
I love that. It's like recognizing that our individual experiences and perspectives are valuable and that the world needs to hear our stories. But how do we actually cultivate and express that unique point of view?
Yeah.
It can be easy to get caught up in comparisons and to feel like our voice isn't, good enough or original enough.
Rubin encourages us to focus on expressing our own truth.
Okay.
Rather than trying to imitate others or conform to external expectations, he reminds us that our unique voice is what makes us valuable.
It's like recognizing that our voice matters.
Yeah.
And that we have something valuable to share, even if it's different from what everyone else is doing. Especially as we get older, we have such a rich whale of experience to draw from.
Absolutely.
Those experiences shape our perspective and make our voice unique.
And that voice can be amplified through collaboration.
Okay.
Rubin's a big believer in the power of working with others to enhance our creative expression.
I've always found collaboration to be both exciting and challenging. It's amazing what can emerge when different minds come together.
It is.
But it can also be tricky navigating those different perspectives and creative visions.
Absolutely. It's about finding collaborators who challenge and inspire us.
Right.
Who bring out the best in our work.
And finding those collaborators who respect our vision and are willing to work together in a spirit of co-creation rather than competition.
Exactly. And being open to, learning from others,
right.
to seeing things from different perspectives and allowing the collaborative process to shape and transform our work in unexpected ways.
As we talk about all these different ways to expand our world as we get older, I'm struck by how much of it comes back to mindset.
Totally.
It's about cultivating those qualities of, openness, curiosity, and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones.
I completely agree. And it's never too late to start cultivating those qualities. One of the things I appreciate most about the Creative Act is that it offers a hopeful and empowering message.
Yeah.
No matter our age or background, we all have the capacity to live creative, expansive lives.
And to keep expanding our world even as we grow older.
Yes.
That's a really beautiful thought. So for our listener who's on this journey of keeping their world expanding, what's the one key takeaway you'd want them to remember?
Remember that creativity isn't just about making art or music.
Right.
It's about how we approach life.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace your curiosity, step outside of your comfort zone, and never stop exploring. There's a whole world out there waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said. It's like Rubin says in the book, the ability to look deeply is the root of creativity. And I think that applies to life as well. So what are you going to look deeper at today?